Are you ready for what could be the most dangerous winter weekend of 2026? Because what is heading toward the eastern United States over the next 7 days is not just another winter storm. This is a pattern that has meteorologists using words like historic, extreme, and potentially catastrophic. And if you live anywhere from Georgia to Maine, you need to hear every single word of what I am about to tell you. Right now, at this very moment, a polar vortex collapse is underway 30,000 feet above your head. Cold air that should be locked over the Arctic Circle is breaking free, and in exactly 6 days, that Arctic blast is going to collide with moisture streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico. The result? A Valentine Day weekend that millions of Americans will never forget. But here is what separates this from every other winter storm you have seen this year. This is not a quick hit system. This is not a clipper. What we are tracking is a multi-day, potentially week-long siege of winter weather that could leave entire regions paralyzed. And I am going to break down exactly when it hits your city, how much snow or ice you can expect, and what you need to do right now to prepare. Stay with me through this entire forecast because at the 5-minute mark, I am going to reveal the exact timeline for over 90 cities across America. And at the 20-minute mark, I will show you which specific neighborhoods face the greatest danger. But first, let me show you what happened overnight that changed everything. The European model just came in 3 hours ago, and what it is showing is jaw-dropping. We are looking at a scenario where Atlanta, Georgia could see accumulating snow. Not flurries, not a dusting. We are talking about a legitimate snowstorm in the deep south. Augusta, Georgia under winter weather, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina seeing significant accumulations. These are cities that have seen maybe 2 or 3 snow events in the past 20 years. And this model is suggesting they could see 6 inches or more. But that is just the beginning, because as this system develops, it is not going to move quickly. It is going to stall. And when a winter storm stalls over populated areas, that is when you get historic snowfall totals. That is when you get power outages that last for days. That is when you get road closures that strand thousands of travelers. Now, before I go any further, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment right now with your city and state. Tell me where you are watching from, because as we go through this forecast, I want to give you the most specific information possible for your exact location. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to expect for your neighborhood. Let me paint the picture of what is happening in the atmosphere right now. We have 3 major players coming together at exactly the wrong time, or the right time if you love snow. First, we have a stratospheric warming event. This is a phenomenon that occurs high above the Earth where temperatures in the stratosphere suddenly spike. When that happens, it destabilizes the polar vortex. Think of the polar vortex as a river of frigid air that normally stays locked over Canada and Alaska. But when a stratospheric warming event occurs, that river breaks apart, and all that Arctic air comes flooding south. Right now, temperatures across the northern plains are already 30 degrees below normal. International Falls, Minnesota hit minus 40 degrees yesterday. Not wind chill, actual air temperature of minus 40. That is the kind of cold that can cause frostbite in less than 5 minutes. And that Arctic air is now pressing south and east. The second player is a cold air damming setup. This is something that happens along the Appalachian Mountains, and it is absolutely critical to understanding why the South could see such significant snow. Here is how it works. High pressure builds up over New England and the Canadian Maritimes. As that high pressure sits there, it pumps cold air from the northeast down along the eastern slopes of the Appalachian Mountains. That cold air gets trapped against the mountains. It has nowhere to go. It just sits there, creating a dome of freezing temperatures that can extend from Virginia all the way down to Georgia and South Carolina. Normally, when a storm system approaches from the west, it brings warm air with it. That warm air would normally change any snow to rain, especially in southern states. But when you have cold air damming in place, that warm air cannot penetrate down to the surface. Instead, you get a scenario where moisture is riding up and over the cold air dome, and everything that falls out of the sky stays frozen. This is exactly the setup that gave Atlanta 6 inches of snow back in 2014. This is the setup that paralyzed the Carolinas in 2004. And meteorologists are seeing all the warning signs that we could have an even stronger cold air damming event developing next week. The third player, and this is the one that ties everything together, is a deep trough setting up along the east coast. A trough is basically a dip in the jet stream. The jet stream is that river of air 5 to 7 miles above the Earth that steers weather systems. When the jet stream dips south, it allows cold air to flood southward. When it bulges north, it allows warm air to surge northward. Right now, the jet stream is setting up in a pattern where it is going to dip very deeply along the eastern United States. This trough is going to position itself and then just sit there for days. And as long as that trough is in place, we are going to have a pipeline of cold air feeding into the eastern United States. But here is the kicker. As that trough sits there, energy is going to be moving through it. Think of energy as little waves moving along the jet stream. Each one of those waves can trigger a storm system, and we are tracking multiple waves that could produce multiple rounds of winter weather between now and February 16th. All right, we are coming up on the 5-minute mark, and I promised you specific timing for cities across America. So let me break this down day by day, region by region, starting with Thursday, February 12th. Thursday morning, the northern tier of the country wakes up to light snow. We are talking about Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany. These cities see snow showers, generally light, 1 to 3 inches. This is not the main event. This is just the appetizer. But it is important because it is going to lay down a base layer of snow and ice that will make roads treacherous for days. By Thursday afternoon, a new area of energy starts to develop across the Ohio Valley. Moisture begins to increase across southern Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. At this point, it is still too warm at the surface for snow in most areas. You are looking at cold rain, but pay attention to what happens Thursday night. Thursday night into Friday morning, February 13th. This is when things start to get interesting. Temperatures begin to drop across the mid-Atlantic. Washington, D.C., you are waking up to temperatures in the low 30s. Baltimore, Philadelphia, same story. And as moisture moves in from the south and west, it starts to interact with cold air that is firmly entrenched across the region. By Friday morning, we have our first significant winter weather event. Accumulating snow breaks out across southern Virginia, northern North Carolina. Roanoke, Virginia, you could see 3 to 6 inches of snow starting Friday morning and continuing through Friday afternoon. Greensboro, North Carolina, 2 to 5 inches. Winston-Salem, same range. Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh, you are on the southern edge of this first wave, but you could still see 1 to 3 inches, especially in the northern suburbs. Now, this first round of snow on Friday is important for 2 reasons. First, it is going to make roads dangerous going into the weekend. A lot of people are going to have Valentine S-Day plans. If you are planning to travel Friday afternoon or Friday evening, you need to know that roads across Virginia and North Carolina are going to be in rough shape. But second, and this is critical, this first round of snow sets the stage for what comes next. By Friday evening, this first system starts to pull away. Snow tapers off across Virginia and North Carolina. But the cold air is not going anywhere. In fact, it is going to intensify. Friday night into Saturday morning, February 14th, Valentine S-Day, temperatures plunge. And I mean plunge. Roanoke, Virginia, dropping to 15 degrees. Charlotte, North Carolina, falling to 22 degrees. Atlanta, Georgia, 28 degrees. These are temperatures that are 15 to 20 degrees below normal for mid-February. But here is where the forecast gets absolutely wild. Because as that first system pulls away, a second, much larger, much more powerful system is developing to the west. This is the main event. This is what has the potential to be historic. Saturday morning, Valentine S-Day, energy begins to consolidate across the deep south. Low pressure develops over the Gulf Coast states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. You wake up to rain on Saturday morning. But as that low pressure intensifies and begins to move northeast, it is going to run headfirst into that dome of cold air that is locked in place across the Carolinas and Georgia. Saturday afternoon, Valentine's Day afternoon, this is when the show begins. Snow breaks out across northern Georgia. Atlanta, you could start seeing snowflakes by 2 or 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. By Saturday evening, moderate to heavy snow is falling across the entire Atlanta metro area. Marietta, Roswell, Alpharetta, Decatur, heavy snow. And this is not going to be a quick burst. This is going to continue all night. By Saturday night into early Sunday morning, Atlanta could be buried under 6 to 10 inches of snow. Some of the northern suburbs, places like Cumming and Gainesville, could see even more. We are talking about 8 to 12 inches. When was the last time Atlanta saw that kind of snow? You would have to go back to 1993. We are talking about a once-in-a-generation snowstorm for the city of Atlanta. But it is not just Atlanta. Augusta, Georgia, 4 to 8 inches. Columbia, South Carolina, 6 to 10 inches. Greenville, South Carolina, 8 to 12 inches. Asheville, North Carolina, 10 to 16 inches. Charlotte, North Carolina, this is where it gets absolutely insane. Current model guidance is suggesting 12 to 18 inches of snow for Charlotte. That would be the biggest snowstorm Charlotte has seen since 2004. And as this system continues to move northeast Saturday night into Sunday, it is going to intensify even further. By Sunday morning, February 15th, the center of this storm is forecast to be off the coast of North Carolina, but the snow shield is going to extend inland for hundreds of miles. Raleigh, North Carolina, 6 to 12 inches. Greensboro, 8 to 14 inches. Richmond, Virginia, 6 to 10 inches. Norfolk, Virginia, 4 to 8 inches with a possible mix of sleet. Now, let me be very clear about something. These are not set-in-stone numbers. Weather forecasting is not an exact science, especially when you are talking about events that are still 6 or 7 days out. Models can and will change. The track of this storm could shift 50 miles east or west, and that could make a huge difference in who sees the most snow. But what is not changing is the overall pattern. What is not changing is the fact that we have a significant winter weather event setting up for Valentine's Day weekend. As we move into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, the storm continues to track up the coast. By Sunday afternoon, heavy snow is falling across the I-95 corridor. Washington, D.C., you are getting hammered. 4 to 8 inches of snow on top of whatever fell Friday. Baltimore, 6 to 10 inches. Philadelphia, 8 to 12 inches. New York City, this is where the forecast gets tricky. New York City sits right on the boundary between cold and not quite as cold. If the storm tracks within 50 miles of the coast, New York sees mostly snow. We are talking about 8 to 14 inches. But if the storm tracks a little further offshore, New York could see more of a mix. Snow changing to sleet, possibly even some freezing rain. That would cut down on snowfall totals but create incredibly dangerous icing conditions. Boston, you are in a better position for all snow. Sunday night into Monday morning, February 16th, Boston could see 10 to 16 inches. Providence, Rhode Island, 12 to 18 inches. Hartford, Connecticut, 10 to 14 inches. Portland, Maine, 8 to 12 inches. These are significant snowfall totals that will cause major travel disruptions. But let me shift gears for a moment and talk about a different threat. Because not everyone is going to see all snow. Some areas, particularly along the immediate coast and across the interior southeast, are going to see a wintry mix. And in some cases, that wintry mix is going to include significant ice. Ice storms are, in many ways, more dangerous than snowstorms. A heavy snowstorm might dump a foot of snow and shut down roads, but once the storm passes, plows can clear the roads and life can get back to normal relatively quickly. But an ice storm? An ice storm can cause power outages that last for weeks. When ice accumulates on power lines and tree branches, the weight becomes immense. A quarter inch of ice on a power line can add 300 pounds of weight per span. That is enough to bring down power lines. That is enough to snap tree branches. And when those tree branches fall onto more power lines, you get cascading failures. Right now, the area of greatest concern for significant icing is from central Georgia up through central South Carolina. Cities like Macon, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, these areas could see a prolonged period of freezing rain Saturday night into Sunday. We are talking about the potential for 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. That is more than enough to cause widespread power outages. If you live in these areas, you need to be preparing right now, and I am going to give you a specific checklist of things you need to do before this storm arrives. But first, let me talk about the cold. Because even after the snow and ice ends, the cold is going to linger. Monday, February 16th, high temperatures across the southeast are going to struggle to get above freezing. Atlanta, high of 30 degrees. Charlotte, high of 28 degrees. Raleigh, high of 32 degrees. That means any snow and ice that falls over the weekend is going to stick around. Roads are going to stay icy, sidewalks are going to stay slick, and for the northern tier of the country, it is going to be even colder. Minneapolis, high of 5 degrees on Monday. Chicago, high of 12 degrees. Detroit, high of 18 degrees. Boston, high of 24 degrees. These are temperatures that are 20 to 30 degrees below normal. And when you factor in the wind, which is going to be howling behind this storm system, wind chills are going to be brutal. We are talking about wind chills in the northern plains and upper Midwest of minus 30 to minus 40 degrees. That is dangerous cold. That is the kind of cold where you can get frostbite in less than 10 minutes. Now, let me give you city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood breakdowns for some of the major metropolitan areas. Because I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, okay, I understand the big picture, but what does this mean for me specifically? So let us start with Atlanta. Atlanta, this forecast has been all over the place. But here is what the latest models are showing. The northern suburbs, everything north of I-285, you are in the bullseye. Marietta, Roswell, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Duluth, these areas could see 8 to 12 inches of snow. The city of Atlanta proper, we are looking at 6 to 10 inches. Southern suburbs, Peachtree City, Fayetteville, 4 to 8 inches. The snow is forecast to start Saturday afternoon, around 2 or 3 p.m. By Saturday evening, it is going to be coming down heavily. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour are possible Saturday night. This is the kind of snow that can accumulate very quickly on roads. If you have plans Saturday evening, cancel them. If you need to be somewhere Saturday night, get there by early afternoon because once this snow starts, travel is going to become extremely difficult very quickly. Charlotte, North Carolina, you are in an even more precarious situation than Atlanta. The latest model runs are showing a potential for 12 to 18 inches of snow. That would make this one of the biggest snowstorms in Charlotte history. The snow is forecast to start Saturday evening around 6 or 7 p.m. By midnight Saturday night, it is going to be coming down hard. 1 to 2 inches per hour is possible through the overnight hours. South Charlotte, Valentine, Pineville, these areas could see the highest totals, potentially 16 to 20 inches in isolated areas. North Charlotte, Huntersville, Cornelius, 12 to 16 inches. Uptown Charlotte, 14 to 18 inches. If you live in Charlotte, you need to be preparing for the possibility that you could be snowed in for several days. Stock up on groceries today or tomorrow. Make sure you have medications. Make sure you have a way to heat your home if the power goes out. Raleigh, North Carolina. Your forecast is a little bit better than Charlotte, but not by much. We are looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow. The snow starts Saturday night around 9 or 10 p.m. It is going to be heavy at times through the overnight hours and into Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, the snow tapers off. But the cold sticks around. North Raleigh, Wake Forest, these areas could see 10 to 14 inches. Central Raleigh, 6 to 10 inches. South Raleigh, Cary, 4 to 8 inches. Again, this is enough snow to shut down the city for multiple days. Richmond, Virginia, 6 to 10 inches of snow is forecast. The snow starts Sunday morning around 6 or 7 a.m. Heavy at times through midday Sunday. By Sunday evening, the snow tapers off. But this comes on top of the 1 to 3 inches you might see Friday. So we are talking about total storm snowfall of 8 to 14 inches. Washington, D.C., you are looking at 2 rounds of snow. Friday, 1 to 3 inches. Then Sunday, 4 to 8 inches. Total storm snowfall of 6 to 12 inches. The heaviest snow Sunday afternoon. The big question for D.C. is whether the Sunday storm brings all snow or a mix. Right now, it looks like mostly snow, but there could be a period where sleet mixes in. Baltimore, Maryland. Similar to D.C., total storm snowfall 6 to 12 inches with the heaviest snow Sunday afternoon and evening. The Inner Harbor could see some mixing with sleet, but the suburbs should stay all snow. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 8 to 12 inches of snow is forecast for Sunday. The snow starts Sunday morning and continues through Sunday evening. This is going to be a long-duration event. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour are possible Sunday afternoon. Major travel impacts on I-95 South New York City. This is the million-dollar question. Right now, the most likely scenario is 8 to 14 inches of snow Sunday into Monday. But there is still a chance that the storm tracks close enough to bring in some warmer air, which could cause a period of mixing. If that happens, snowfall totals would be lower, but you would have the added danger of icing. The 5 boroughs, 8 to 12 inches, is the most likely outcome right now. North Jersey, 10 to 16 inches. Westchester County, 12 to 18 inches. Long Island, 6 to 12 inches, with higher amounts North Shore, lower amounts South Shore. Boston, Massachusetts. 10 to 16 inches of snow Sunday night into Monday. The snow starts Sunday evening and continues through Monday morning. This is going to be a classic nor'easter for Boston. Heavy snow, strong winds gusting to 50 miles per hour, and coastal flooding is possible. If you live along the coast, in places like Revere or Quincy, be prepared for possible evacuations due to coastal flooding combined with the snowstorm. Now let me talk about some of the smaller cities that are also going to be impacted. Because this storm is so large, it is going to affect dozens and dozens of communities. Greensboro, North Carolina, 8 to 14 inches. Winston-Salem, 8 to 12 inches. Durham, 6 to 10 inches. Chapel Hill, 6 to 10 inches. Fayetteville, North Carolina, 4 to 8 inches. Wilmington, North Carolina, 1 to 3 inches, but a longer period of wintry mix is possible, which could bring icing. Norfolk, Virginia, 4 to 8 inches, but there is a high chance of mixing with sleet and possibly freezing rain. This could bring down snowfall totals but increase the risk of ice. Virginia Beach, 2 to 6 inches with mixing. Newport News, 4 to 8 inches with mixing. Greenville, South Carolina, 8 to 12 inches. Spartanburg, 10 to 14 inches. Anderson, 6 to 10 inches. These upstate South Carolina cities could see very heavy snow. Knoxville, Tennessee, 4 to 8 inches. Chattanooga, 3 to 6 inches. Nashville, 2 to 4 inches. Memphis, 1 to 3 inches. The further west you go in Tennessee, the lower the snowfall totals, but everyone is going to see some accumulation. Columbus, Ohio, 2 to 4 inches Friday, then another 2 to 4 inches Sunday. Total storm snowfall, 4 to 8 inches. Cincinnati, 3 to 6 inches. Cleveland, 4 to 8 inches. Pittsburgh, 6 to 10 inches. Scranton, Pennsylvania, 8 to 12 inches. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 6 to 10 inches. Now up in New England beyond Boston. Portland, Maine, 8 to 12 inches. Bangor, Maine, 6 to 10 inches. Manchester, New Hampshire, 10 to 14 inches. Burlington, Vermont, 6 to 10 inches. Providence, Rhode Island, 12 to 18 inches. Hartford, Connecticut, 10 to 14 inches. New Haven, Connecticut, 8 to 12 inches. And even into upstate New York, Albany, 6 to 10 inches. Syracuse, 4 to 8 inches. Rochester, 4 to 8 inches. Buffalo, snow showers through the weekend, but not a major storm for Buffalo. Total accumulations, 3 to 6 inches. Now, I want to talk about timing in a bit more detail because I know a lot of you are making plans for Valentine's Day weekend. If you have dinner reservations Saturday night, here is what you need to know. If you are in Atlanta, Charlotte, or anywhere in the Carolinas, do not count on being able to go to dinner Saturday night. The snow is going to be falling heavily by Saturday evening. Roads are going to be dangerous. Many restaurants are going to close early or not open at all. If you are in the Mid-Atlantic or Northeast, Saturday might be okay for evening plans, but Sunday is going to be a wash. If you are in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, or Boston, plan for Sunday to be a complete snow day. Stay home, order in, make it a cozy day inside. If you have travel plans for this weekend, you need to be rethinking them right now. Airports are going to be a mess. We are already seeing airlines issue travel waivers for dozens of cities. If you are flying into or out of Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York, or Boston this weekend, there is a very high chance your flight is going to be delayed or canceled. If you are driving, especially on Saturday night or Sunday, do not. Just do not. It is not worth the risk. We are going to see hundreds of accidents. We are going to see people stranded on highways. Every winter storm, you see the same images on the news. Cars spun out, jackknifed tractor trailers, people stuck for hours in traffic. Do not be one of those people. Now let me talk about preparation. What should you be doing right now to get ready for this storm? First, go to the grocery store today or tomorrow. Do not wait until Friday. Do not wait until Saturday morning. By then, the stores are going to be packed and shelves are going to be empty. You need non-perishable food, canned goods, pasta, rice, peanut butter, bread, crackers. Get enough food for at least 3 to 5 days. Water. Fill up containers with water. If the power goes out, your well pump might not work. Even if you are on city water, it is good to have backup water on hand. 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. Medications. Make sure you have enough of any prescription medications to last at least a week. If you need refills, get them now. batteries, flashlights, candles. If the power goes out, you are going to need light. Make sure you have working flashlights and plenty of batteries. Candles are good, but be very careful with open flames, especially if you are using them for extended periods. Heat. This is critical. If you lose power, how are you going to heat your home? If you have a fireplace, make sure you have firewood. If you have a generator, make sure it is working and that you have fuel. Make sure the generator is outside, not in your garage or basement. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every winter storm. If you do not have a fireplace or generator, think about how you are going to stay warm. Close off rooms you are not using. Hang blankets over windows to keep heat in. Layer clothing. Move everyone into one room to share body heat. Cell phone chargers. Make sure your phones are charged. If you have portable battery packs, charge those too. If the power goes out, you want to be able to stay in contact with family and emergency services. Car preparation. Fill up your gas tank now. If the power goes out, gas stations cannot pump gas. Make sure your car has an emergency kit. Blankets, flashlight, first aid kit, snacks, water. If you get stranded, you want to have supplies. Now, let me talk about what to do during the storm. If you lose power, the first thing you should do is call your power company and report the outage. Then start conserving the heat in your home. Close all the doors to rooms you are not using. If you have a fireplace, use it. If you have a generator, use it sparingly to conserve fuel. Stay away from downed power lines. If you see a downed power line, assume it is live. Stay at least 30 feet away. Call your power company or 911 to report it. If you must go outside, dress in layers. Wear a hat, gloves, and a scarf. Cover as much exposed skin as possible. Frostbite can occur in less than 30 minutes when the wind chill is below zero. If you have to shovel snow, take breaks. Do not overexert yourself. Heart attacks are very common during winter storms because people go out and shovel heavy, wet snow for hours without taking breaks. Pace yourself. Take a break every 15 to 20 minutes. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors or anyone who might need help. A simple check-in can make a huge difference. Now, let me talk about the long-term outlook, because this storm is not the end of the winter. In fact, we are entering a pattern that could be very active for the rest of February and into early March. The polar vortex collapse that I mentioned earlier is going to keep cold air locked over the eastern United States for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks. That means even after this Valentine's Day storm moves out, we are going to stay cold. And we are going to have opportunities for additional winter storms. The long-range models are showing another potential storm around February 20th or 21st. It is too early to give you specifics on that, but it is something to keep in mind. If you are in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic, you might want to keep that snow shovel handy through the end of the month. Now, let me address something that I know some of you are thinking. You are thinking, is this climate change? Is this because of global warming? And the answer is complicated. Climate change is real. The Earth is warming. But that does not mean we do not get cold winters anymore. In fact, some research suggests that the warming Arctic could actually be causing more extreme winter weather in the mid-latitudes. Here is the theory. As the Arctic warms, it reduces the temperature difference between the Arctic and the mid-latitudes. The jet stream, that river of air I keep talking about, is driven by temperature differences. When you reduce those temperature differences, the jet stream weakens. And when the jet stream weakens, it tends to meander more. It develops these big waves, big dips and bulges, and when you get a big dip in the jet stream over North America, you get Arctic air flooding south. So yes, it is possible that climate change is playing a role in the extreme cold and snow we are seeing this winter. But the science is still being debated, and it is complicated. What is not debatable is that this is going to be a significant winter storm, and you need to be prepared. Let me also address the question of snow totals. A lot of you are probably looking at the numbers I gave you and thinking, there is no way Atlanta gets 10 inches of snow. There is no way Charlotte gets 18 inches. And I get it. Those are extreme numbers. And there is a chance the models are overdoing it. There is a chance the storm shifts track and these totals end up being lower. But here is the thing. The models have been remarkably consistent for the past 3 days. Usually, when you are looking at a storm that is 6 or 7 days out, the models are all over the place. But not with this storm. The European model, the American GFS model, the Canadian model, they are all showing a significant winter storm for the southeast and up the east coast. They all show heavy snow for the Carolinas. They all show significant snow for the I-95 corridor. When you have that kind of model agreement this far out, you have to take the forecast seriously. That does not mean the forecast is locked in. Things can still change, but it means the risk is high enough that you need to be preparing. And let me tell you something else. Even if the snowfall totals end up being lower than forecast, this is still going to be a major event because it is not just about the snow. It is about the cold. It is about the ice. It is about the fact that millions of people are going to lose power. It is about the fact that roads are going to be impassable for days. It is about the fact that this is happening over Valentine's Day weekend when a lot of people had plans. This is going to be disruptive. This is going to be dangerous, and you need to take it seriously. Now, let me talk about some specific weather phenomena that we could see during this storm. First, thundersnow. Thundersnow is exactly what it sounds like, thunder and lightning during a snowstorm. It occurs when there is a lot of instability in the atmosphere, and when you have thundersnow, snowfall rates can be extreme. We are talking about 3 to 4 inches per hour. If we see thundersnow over Charlotte or Atlanta or any of the major cities Saturday night, snowfall totals are going to be on the higher end of the forecast range. Second, snow squalls. Snow squalls are intense, short-lived bursts of heavy snow. They can drop visibility to near zero in a matter of minutes. If you are driving and encounter a snow squall, you need to slow down immediately and turn on your hazard lights. Snow squalls cause massive pileups on highways every winter. Third, ice pellets or sleet. This is frozen precipitation that bounces when it hits the ground. It occurs when snow falls through a layer of warm air, melting into rain, and then refreezes before hitting the ground. Sleet is less dangerous than freezing rain, but it can still make roads very slippery. And if you get a lot of it, it can accumulate like snow. Fourth, freezing rain. This is the most dangerous type of winter precipitation. Freezing rain occurs when snow falls through a layer of warm air, melts into rain, but then the surface temperature is below freezing. When the rain hits the ground, it instantly freezes. This creates a coating of ice on everything. Roads become skating rinks. Power lines and trees accumulate ice. This is what causes the most widespread power outages during winter storms. Right now, the area most at risk for freezing rain is central Georgia and central South Carolina. If you live in these areas, you absolutely need to be prepared for the possibility of long-duration power outages. Now, let me shift gears one more time and talk about the positives of this storm. Because yes, there are positives. First, if you love snow, this is going to be a treat. A lot of kids, and let us be honest, a lot of adults, are going to be thrilled to see this much snow. Snow days from school, sledding, snowball fights, building snowmen. This is the kind of snowstorm that creates memories. Second, Valentine's Day weekend is actually not a terrible time for a big snowstorm. It is not a major travel holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most people are staying local anyway. So the disruption to holiday plans is less than it would be at other times of the year. Third, the cold air is going to help with snow ratios. Snow ratio is the ratio of snow depth to liquid water equivalent. Typically, 10 inches of snow melts down to 1 inch of water. That is a 10-to-1 ratio. But when the air is very cold, snow ratios can be higher. We could see 15-to-1 or even 20-to-1 ratios with this storm. That means lighter, fluffier snow that is easier to shovel and less likely to bring down trees and power lines. But do not let those positives lull you into complacency. This is still a dangerous storm and you need to be ready. Now, as we get close to wrapping up this forecast, let me give you some final thoughts. We are tracking a potentially historic winter storm for Valentine's Day weekend 2026. This storm has the potential to bring heavy snow to areas that rarely see significant snow. Atlanta, Charlotte, Columbia, these cities could see snowfall totals that they have not seen in decades. The timing is Saturday afternoon through Sunday for the Deep South, Sunday for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. The impacts are going to be widespread. Road closures, flight cancellations, power outages. This is going to disrupt millions of lives. But if you prepare now, if you stock up on supplies today or tomorrow, if you charge your devices, if you have a plan for how you are going to stay warm if the power goes out, you can get through this safely. Stay off the roads during the storm. Cancel plans if you need to. Your safety is more important than any Valentine's Day dinner. Check on your neighbors, make sure everyone in your family knows the plan, and stay tuned to local weather forecasts. Things can change quickly with winter storms. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your city and state. Tell me, are you ready for this storm? What are your biggest concerns? Are you excited for the snow or are you dreading it? Let me know in the comments and I will try to respond to as many of you as possible with specific information for your area. And if you found this forecast helpful, please hit that like button. Share this video with your friends and family who live in the path of this storm. They need to know what is coming. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already because I am going to be putting out updates every single day between now and this storm. You want to make sure you are getting the latest information. Also, make sure you turn on notifications so you do not miss any updates. This forecast could change. New model runs come in every 6 hours, and if something significant changes, I will get a new video out to you as quickly as possible. I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Winter storms are serious business, but they are also something that we can prepare for. Unlike hurricanes or tornadoes, you get warning with winter storms. You have days to prepare. Use that time wisely. Get ready now. And when the storm hits, stay safe, stay warm, and ride it out. This has been your complete guide to the Valentine Day weekend winter storm of 2026. Stay safe out there, everyone, and I will see you in the next update. 3 to 5 inches of snow in the next 6 hours, and that is just the beginning. Right now, as you are watching this, snow is already falling across major cities from New Jersey to Boston, but here's what nobody is telling you yet. This is not your typical winter clipper. This system is feeding off ocean moisture, intensifying as we speak, and the burst of heavy snow you are about to see will catch most people completely off guard. If you live anywhere from Long Island to Cape Cod, the next 12 hours will determine whether you are looking at a dusting or 5 inches of serious accumulation. And I'm going to tell you exactly when it hits your neighborhood. Stay with me for 30 seconds and I will reveal which 3 cities are about to get hit the hardest in the next 2 hours. But first, let me tell you what is happening right now at this very moment. As of 8:30 this morning, February 7th, 2026, we have active snow bands moving through Delaware, intensifying as they push into southern New Jersey. The coastal areas are already seeing moderate snowfall. Long Beach Island is reporting visibility down to a quarter mile. Atlantic City just clocked wind gusts at 34 miles per hour with steady snow. And this is the critical part. As this system moves offshore and taps into that Atlantic moisture, it is going to explode in intensity. Here is your first reward for staying with me. The 3 cities about to get hammered in the next 90 minutes are Providence, Rhode Island, New Bedford, Massachusetts, and the entire Cape Cod region. We are talking about snow rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. That means if you are planning to drive anywhere in these areas between 9:30 and 11 o'clock this morning, you need to leave right now or wait until this afternoon. But let me show you exactly what is coming city by city, hour by hour, because the timing on this is absolutely critical. And I need you to drop a comment right now telling me where you are watching from because I am going to give you specific timing for your exact location. Whether you are in Albany, Boston, Hartford, or anywhere across New England, I have got your timeline. Let me start with the New York metro area because this is where people are most confused right now. New York City itself, you are mostly in the clear. Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, you might see some flurries, maybe a coating, but nothing significant. The real action stays east and north of you. However, and this is critical, Long Island is a completely different story. If you are on the north shore of Long Island, from Glen Cove through Port Jefferson to Riverhead, you are looking at 1 to 3 inches starting around 9:45 this morning, continuing through 2 o'clock this afternoon. The heaviest burst hits between 10:30 and noon. That is your window of maximum impact. Now, if you are on the South Shore or out on the East End, Orient Point, Montauk, the Hamptons, you are in for more. 3 to 5 inches total, and here is why. That coastal redevelopment I mentioned, it is spinning up right off the South Shore. Southampton, East Hampton, Amagansett, you are looking at the heaviest snow arriving between 10 o'clock this morning and 1 o'clock this afternoon. Visibility dropping to near zero during the heaviest bands. If you have to be out there, I am talking Montauk Highway, Route 27, expect dangerous conditions. Now let me take you north into Connecticut, and this is where it gets really interesting. Southwestern Connecticut, Stamford, Greenwich, Norwalk, you are on the edge. 1 to 2 inches possible, mainly during the late morning hours. But as we move east, Hartford, this is your timeline. Light snow begins around 9:30 this morning, picks up in intensity by 11 o'clock. Your heaviest snow, and I am talking about reduced visibility, difficult driving conditions, that hits between noon and 3 o'clock this afternoon. Total accumulation for Hartford, 2 to 4 inches. New Haven, you are right in the sweet spot. 3 to 4 inches likely, with the peak intensity between 11:30 this morning and 2:30 this afternoon. If you are commuting on Interstate 95 or the Merritt Parkway during midday, this is going to be treacherous. Now, let me take you into Rhode Island, and I told you Providence was one of the big three getting hit hard. Here is your exact timeline, Providence. Snow overspreading your area right now as I speak, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. It is light right now, but do not let that fool you. By 10 o'clock this morning, we transition to moderate to heavy snow. The absolute peak, when you are going to see 1 to 2 inches per hour rates, that hits between 10:30 this morning and 1:30 this afternoon. And here is what is crucial. This is not steady light snow. These are intense bands, bursts of heavy snow that will suddenly reduce visibility to a quarter mile or less. You will be driving along, conditions seem manageable, then boom, you cannot see the car in front of you. That is the danger with this system. Total snow for Providence, 3 to 5 inches, with the higher amounts toward the southern suburbs. Warwick, Cranston, you are looking at the higher end of that range. And the snow continues lighter through 4 o'clock this afternoon before tapering off. Newport, and this is important for anyone on Aquidneck Island, you are getting the full brunt of this. 4 to 5 inches likely, with ocean-enhanced snow bands. Naval Station Newport, if you are stationed there, conditions deteriorate rapidly between 10 and 1 o'clock. Now let me get into Massachusetts, and we need to break this down carefully because there is huge variation across the state. Western Massachusetts, Springfield, you start seeing snow around 9 o'clock this morning. Moderate snow develops by 10:30. Your peak period, 11:30 this morning through 2 o'clock this afternoon. Expected total, 2 to 4 inches. Holyoke, Chicopee, Westfield, same timeline, same amounts. As we move into Central Mass, Worcester, you are looking at a later start. Snow arrives around 10 o'clock, intensifies by 11:30, peak snowfall between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock this afternoon. Worcester could see 3 to 5 inches, especially in the higher elevations south of the city. Shrewsbury, Auburn, Oxford, you are in that higher range. Now, the Boston metro area, this is critical. Boston proper, downtown, you start with light snow around 10:30 this morning. By noon, we are talking moderate snow. But here is the thing, Boston, you are not in the bullseye. You are looking at 2 to 4 inches with the best chance of hitting 4 inches south of the city. But as we go south, everything changes. Brockton, Quincy, Weymouth, you are in the heavier band. 3 to 5 inches, the South Shore gets hammered. Plymouth, this is huge for you, 4 to 6 inches likely. And the timing, snow beginning by 10:15 this morning, reaching peak intensity between noon and 4 o'clock this afternoon. Duxbury, Marshfield, Kingston, same story, 4 to 6 inches, peak snowfall midday into mid-afternoon. Route 3 is going to be a mess between 1 and 4 o'clock. Now let me take you to the Cape, because this is where this system really overperforms. Cape Cod, if you are anywhere from the Cape Cod Canal to Provincetown, you need to hear this. This is a significant snow event for you. Sagamore, Bourne, right at the canal. Snow arrives around 11 o'clock this morning. By noon, we are talking heavy snow. Sandwich, Barnstable, Hyannis, your peak period is 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock this afternoon. We are looking at 4 to 6 inches for the Mid-Cape. Now, the Outer Cape, Chatham, Orleans, Eastham, Wellfleet, Truro, Provincetown, you are in for 5 to 7 inches. This is ocean-enhanced snow. The system sits off the coast and just pumps moisture onto the Outer Cape for hours. Your heaviest snow, 2 o'clock this afternoon through 8 o'clock tonight. Yes, this continues well into the evening hours for the Outer Cape. Route 6, the Mid-Cape Highway, becomes extremely dangerous between 2 and 7 o'clock this afternoon. If you do not absolutely have to travel, do not. The national seashore areas, forget about it. Near whiteout conditions likely during the peak. Martha S. Vineyard, Nantucket, I have not forgotten about you. Vineyard, Edgartown, Oak Bluffs, Vineyard Haven, you are looking at 4 to 6 inches. Snow beginning around noon, continuing through 8 o'clock tonight. Ferry service, expect major delays and cancellations this afternoon and evening. Nantucket, you are in the same boat. 5 to 7 inches possible, especially if the low pressure tracks just right. Snow starting around 1 o'clock this afternoon, continuing through 9 o'clock tonight. If you are flying off island today, check your flight status obsessively. Now let me take you north of Boston because there is major snow coming for the North Shore and beyond. Salem, Marblehead, Gloucester, Beverly, your snow arrives between 11 this morning and noon. Peak intensity 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock this afternoon. Expected accumulation 3 to 5 inches, with the higher amounts right along the coast where that ocean moisture gets pulled in. Gloucester specifically, you could see 5 to 6 inches. Rockport, same. The Cape Ann area gets enhanced snowfall from the ocean fetch. Now, north into New Hampshire, and this is where we need to be very specific about elevation. Southern New Hampshire, Nashua, Manchester, Concord, you are all getting hit. Nashua, snow arrives around 10 o'clock this morning. Manchester, 10:15, Concord, 10:30. For all three cities, the peak snowfall is between noon and 4 o'clock this afternoon. Manchester, you are looking at 3 to 5 inches in the city, but here is the key. As you go up in elevation, those amounts increase. Bedford, Hooksett, you are at the higher end. Concord, same story. 3 to 5 inches in town, more in the surrounding hills. The Lakes region, Laconia, Meredith, Wolfboro. You start later, around 11:30 this morning, but you get a longer duration event. Snow continues through 6 o'clock this evening. Total accumulation 4 to 6 inches, with the higher elevations around Lake Winnipesaukee seeing 6 to 8 inches. The Seacoast Portsmouth, this is big for you. You are right in that coastal enhancement zone. Snow beginning around 11 this morning, going heavy by 1 o'clock this afternoon. Peak period